Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the B Team Podcast. As always, they are live on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and Twitter. We are also live on the FCS Fans Nation YouTube for the fans, by the fans. Beyond that, you can catch the show if you don't catch it live anywhere you get your favorite podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere in between. As always, the B Team is brought to you by our title sponsor, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. If you need a tractor, utility vehicle, construction equipment, zero-turn motors, parts, service, and more, there's always a Kubota dealer near you with 8 locations across the great state of South Dakota. Stop in today and get yourself into some orange equipment. We would also like to take a moment to thank our segment sponsors, Culver's, Brookings and Watertown, Jackrabbit Central, and Cubby's Sports Bar and Grill. And now, B-Team Mafia, the time's arrived. Here's Ben, Chad, and Brendan.
Hey, B-Team Mafia, welcome back. We are live and in action. Per usual, one of our members was late, but we are. You didn't show up till the clock turned off. We were getting TikTok comments before you even popped on here.
I was here at 8:30, man.
Yeah. So after Thanksgiving, got our playoff opponent picked. I got a new thing set up, which is cool.
A new thing.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
A new thing.
Yeah, I got a new thing set up in the bar.
This is
back
good.
And all that jazz. Yeah.
I like the setup. It's less echoey. That's a plus.
Is it? That's exciting.
Yeah. It actually sounded really good when you turned your head towards the mic.
Yeah, it does sound better.
Just
when you put it in your face like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm lazy, so we're
now we're talking.
Is this better?
That's really good.
I can do the same thing.
Up
don't we
close
all do this?
Up close and personal and private for everybody.
Podcast with Chad.
Jim, I'm not watching Midco. The way they're playing against Mount Marty, I don't even want to watch that.
Dude, we're on sickos right now. That needs to turn around real quick.
Are we really?
Yeah, Sickos College Basketball retweeted it, and then their main account retweeted
great.
it. So that's awesome. That's cool. We got
that's good.
For us.
There you go.
But
I'm busy. I'm busy watching the Vikings be underwhelming, so that's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Vikings are losing too?
Well, no, they just tied it up before half. 3-3.
Unfortunate.
It's
just enough to give
it looks like a
snap
Thursday night football game.
I want the Vikings to just make the playoffs. That's what I want.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Yeah.
Just enough to be that last seed, lose right away, and never get a good quarterback pick.
Yeah, I suppose you are a Bears fan, aren't you, Ray?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were calling me a
Bears
fan.
fan.
I was like, damn.
No. Yeah, no. You think calling him a Vikings fan's bad? Call him a Bears fan. See how that goes. He's from Wisconsin.
Right.
I dislike the Vikings more because I grew up closer to them, but the Bears is the bigger rivalry, allegedly.
Right, at least in Wisconsin, yeah.
Well, the populations are closer and all that jazz.
Yep. Anyway, this is an FCS football show.
Allegedly. That's the word on the street.
We're not even 5 minutes in, and we're getting back to football. We're doing okay.
Right. Coming off the bye week here, and like Brendan said, got our opponent set. Mercer. We will talk about them later.
Speaking of the Bears.
Yeah, speaking of
Bears.
Very good. That would have been an amazing. Where were you earlier? Where were you like a minute ago?
I was right here. I was just letting you talk because I interrupted too much.
That transition would have been fantastic. Yes.
Listen, Rev, we've started on time
once. Yeah. Ben was 3 minutes early that day.
Not saying it's a lot, but it's happened.
Whatever. Anyway. Do we have anything else to talk about before we get into the results of the game and our picks?
I don't know. Thanksgiving was great. Those playoff games were awesome. I don't
They
know
were
if you
fun.
got to catch. I know you got to catch some of them. You had a 5th grade basketball tournament and whatnot as well. But,
Yep.
dude, there was a stretch there, and I know, Richmond ended up blowing out North Carolina Central, and Laffy ended up losing because their quarterback got hurt. But there was a minute there where flipping from game to game to game, like you could not flip to a game and not watch a huge play happen. And it was so fun for like an hour and a half. It was awesome. But yeah, no, it was a phenomenal round of games. Disappointed for Lafayette. I thought they had it. Delaware had 4 straight turnovers, which is impressive. That was wild. Then
Yeah,
of course,
I was
real
disappointed in North Carolina Central. I
Yeah.
loved the way they looked in the first half, and then the second half just did not go their way.
Well, that first half, Richard was just absolutely carrying the team. Richard, I think it's Richard. He was carrying the team. Like that dude was running for his life. He was getting hit or running for his life at almost every play, it seemed like. So when I turned on the UND game to watch the end of that and came back and it was a blowout, it's like, yeah, I can see that. I can see how that happened. So that wasn't he was the whole team, and that just doesn't last in the playoffs, unfortunately for them. And I should have remembered the MEAC's record in the playoffs. I mean, people forget back when they went to the Celebration Bowl. Yeah, it's about money, but also the HBCUs were not competing very well in the playoffs when they got in. So that's something to remember. They haven't won it forever in the playoffs.
Yeah. Dustin says it's Richard, like Americans say it, not Richard, like he's a member of the Montreal Canadiens.
Hey, I am watching a lot of NHL now too, so that's maybe where I'm getting that from.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and Chad, you're on mute.
I know. Yeah, I see that. It's probably better that way, though. I was just gonna say, I see your boys Delaware joined Conference USA today, so so good for them.
Good.
Congratulations on being irrelevant in a higher league.
I guess we can talk about that a little bit with Delaware joining Conference USA. That's big news. Bad news for the FCS. I mean, they're a team that we talked about that has the ability to be a good team in the FCS, has the funding, and now they're leaving for the Conference USA, which I don't know. I mean, you can't blame them, I guess. They want to position themselves well for whatever happens in the future. But I mean, look at the Conference USA. Like, it's just, I don't know. What are you joining? But, you're getting, what does Sam play on like Tuesday nights in Conference USA? So it's like, I don't know.
For a whole month.
Yeah.
They play weekday games for a whole month as a part of their TV contract. I guess it's best for them, good for them. But like you said, it sucks for the FCS. You lose a team with a lot of history, one of the blue bloods. They weren't winning titles or anything this year, but they've been making some runs and all that jazz. I think this officially makes the CAA the SoCon, except bigger and worse at this point. I think the SoCon is kind of on the way up, and losing Delaware is kind of a death blow to the CAA ever pretending to be one of the top 3 conferences for a while. I was actually texting Rev.
Oh, and there went Brendan. How about that?
He was texting Rev about presumably about the CAA.
Rev and press send on the wrong button. Anyway,
he's gonna flip. If it's a problem with his new computer, he's gonna be flip. Mad. For those that don't know, he just got his new computer set up, his new desk set up. Well, I guess he had his new computer set up before, but
it worked well.
There he is.
I was just gonna say, if they can make it to 500, that it's not like there won't be a bowl available for him.
What were you texting Rev about?
I don't. You talk about texts and click the wrong button and mistakes happen. I guess I got a new mouse and I accidentally hit the wrong button.
What did you hit?
I don't know. There's like 7 on here. I haven't set them up yet, and I've never had any of them do anything. So whoopsie poopsies.
You just like, oh, there's all these buttons on the top of my keyboard. What's this one do in the middle of a podcast?
Start pressing them and see what happens.
It was a mouse and it's a bump on the side. Whoopsie poopsie. I'm sure Ariel will have some
probably
smart ass comment on there.
If it's the left click, it's the back button.
Oh,
so you can use that to go back a web page.
Swifty. All right.
That would
mean, that's
knock you out of this chat.
Well, there you are. I was saying, I was just texting. Yeah, Rev says you shouldn't double click your mouse in public. This is true.
That's true.
It's I was saying, I was texting Rev. I think the UAC is the FCS's best chance now at having a third power conference. The SoCon's fine, but I think they'll never have the depth. I just don't think they'll have the depth. But the UAC, while they weren't good this year, they were all mediocre. And there wasn't a bunch of terrible teams in there. It was a bunch of mediocre teams in there. And they seem to be programs that are trying to take steps forward. With Tarleton, I mean, they've got great facilities and huge attendance. UCA.
Yeah, how long is it until they're going to see USA?
Well, right, exactly. I mean, eventually the movement's going to run out this stuff. So yeah, Rev says I said this to him. He didn't say it to me. That's very true. Rev is a known UAC homer, obviously, for trying to push me to put Austin P into the quarterfinals, you lunatic.
Yeah.
And they're all-world quarterback that went for 100 yards. But anyway. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts on that. I guess good for them. It sucks as a fan of the FCS, but I guess they thought that's best for them. Eventually, CUSA can't add any more teams, and everybody's going to kind of be stuck where they are.
Yeah, they could become the Big Ten.
Right.
Just have
Yeah.
100 teams.
On the heels of that Delaware news, there was an article that got posted with some comments from, I think it was the Maryland AD, talking about how the split is coming, the Power 5 G5 split.
Yep.
And it's all about, in 5 years or less. And it's all about money. Like literally all of it is about money. In terms of lawsuits that are pending, in terms of potential revenue in the future, in terms of paying players what they should get paid. It's all about money. And so the Power 5 is going to do their money thing, and the G5, we'll see. It's kind of it'll be real interesting to see what the G5 does and what that model looks like. They talked a lot about models and like different ways to do that in the future, which I think was the exciting part about that article. Like it sucks to know that like college football, the way it is just its years are numbered. Like we're seeing the last of college football the way it is right now. But those models that they talk about are exciting in terms of like, do they, this relegation thing gets thrown around. Like, do they end up with some sort of relegation model from the P5 to whatever is below them? I don't know. It's an interesting times in college football for sure.
I think it'd be interesting if the lower schools said, fine, if you do that, we're not going to participate in the NCAA tournament. I mean, they could. That would be some firepower they'd have.
In the basketball tournament,
tournament, yeah.
Because they're talking about that even going away too.
Well, right, they are. But I don't think that has the same success without the lower schools. That's been my opinion all along, and I'll die on that hill. But
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to turn down that revenue, though, that comes from that tournament.
Well, I agree. I'm just saying, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
They get more revenue off of the NCAA basketball tournament than they do off of the college football payout. That's
right. But what he's saying,
fact.
if a team if lower conferences threaten to just leave that, I mean, if they stuck together, they could break that up and say, if that's what you're going to do in football, we're going to pull out of that tournament and make it less desirable. But yeah, you're right. They probably wouldn't.
Lower conferences get more money from the NCAA basketball tournament. So it's just they're not going to cut off all their money that you get from being a part of the big boys. I don't think they're going to have a big any leverage on that. And they said a lot of times in the article, it has to do with this House lawsuit having to do with the NIL and back pay and all this stuff. And they kept saying that it was probably going to cost every, I think they said every Power 5 team was going to have to put up like $10 million per school to help pay that off. So that's a huge deal. And basically their whole point is, if we're going to foot this bill, because a lot of G5 schools have said, well, we can't afford 10. I mean, you can't afford $10 million. I don't care if you are an established power in the G5, you don't have $10 million to throw at this. So, it makes sense that, I guess I don't like it. No, I like it just because everybody wants, the G5 to come back with the top of the FCS and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I do like that.
That's the exciting part of it, is the potential to be involved in whatever the G5 does, because I think that we all realize, with the way that FCS football is going, with all the top teams leaving, that next level is where teams like SDSU, NDSU, the Montanas, that's where those teams belong. It's just, how does that look and how does it work? I think the ideal situation is that, there's some sort of G5, whether it becomes like, I don't know what they call the top level D1 and that level D2. I mean, because there's going to be like reclassifications. They're not going to call it the same anymore. But whatever that second level is, it would be fun if we can put enough solid schools together in our area, in kind of the Midwest and Mountain West, and have a solid conference within that level. I think that's the most ideal situation that we could ask for going forward.
Yep. Yeah, and you hope they go with the playoff, obviously, for that. You'd imagine they would. The wild thing is, I remember 10, 12 years ago, these guys talked, they always talk about when the split happened for, 1A and 1AA, because all those old guys just live and die by that moniker. They talk about when that split, and, like the Ivies, how they hung at FBS for a while and then finally had to drop and all that stuff. I mean, it's if you look at it the right way, it's really exciting to be living through and seeing that. A lot of the stuff right now kind of sucks. But they did say part of their idea was to do away with NIL and moving to the big colleges paying their players outright from the school. So there's a lot of wild stuff going on there. Obviously, I don't think we know enough to talk a whole show about it.
No,
But
not
go read that
necessarily.
article. It's been tweeted by Sam Herder. It's a good 10-minute read if you read slower. So, or, get interrupted by a text while you're reading or whatever. It's just one of those things. It takes longer to read. But
Yep.
Nobody can hear you, Chad.
No.
Chad.
Yes, I know.
There you are.
I took myself off stage. I forgot to add my mic back on. I think it goes back to like what we were talking about in our text group today. Having we're living in the glory days of SDSU football, and we need to just enjoy this season for what it is.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Really soak it in with NIL, the way things are going, all that stuff. I mean, it's plausible that this is the last great FCS level football team that stays together for the whole run. And that is something that truly our fans should cherish by getting their asses into the stadium on Saturday.
Word.
And if you don't, and we've got a bad crowd, I am going to be an absolute shitbag about it next week. And people are going to have hurt feelings, and I don't give a damn.
It's going to be
this
hours.
Team, it's people, just people. And, because you know what? God damn it. This team deserves it. So,
yeah.
I mean, this team deserves every ounce of support that you can muster. And to be honest, when I'm on like the FCS fans, or not the FCS fans, SDSU fans Facebook page and stuff like that, and you see people posting like, "Oh, is this going to be on Midco? Can I watch it at a bar?" And then you see they're from Sioux Falls. I log out because I'll get booted off of that thing. Like, because it's one thing, right? Like if you, you got kids stuff or, family and all that stuff. I get it. But it wasn't like this weekend having a home game as a surprise. Everybody should have known that in June. if you're paying any
Right.
attention.
Right.
Get to the damn stadium, and the tickets are cheap. There's $10 tickets, so don't tell me it's the price. You know, it's $10 tickets. Your season ticket, my season tickets were still cheap, which is great. They had an awesome deal with the season tickets where you can auto enroll for the next playoff game, which, hallelujah. Why did that take so long? That's the best. Holy shit, that's awesome. So get your tickets for the game. I mean, I'm going to be, and we should probably cool our jets on talking shit about attendance until we have playoff attendance. Like, we had great attendance in the regular season, but now here comes the test, right?
100%. Yeah, I mean, and we always talk about how even if it's really, really cold, as long as you dress accordingly, you'll be fine. But it's really not. It's not even going to be that cold this weekend. That's the thing. Like, it's going to be pretty nice out. So get your butt to the game, show this team the respect they deserve, and enjoy it. Like Chad said, I mean, it's the, you might look back at these days and say, man, that was the funnest time in FCS football, and I wish I could have it back. And you might as well go enjoy it. So
the Ariel says, come on over to our tailgate. We'll have fun food and heaters, and we're doing a Bloody Mary bar. Maybe you guys don't know that.
Hell yes.
Jim and Ryan and I are planning a Bloody Mary bar. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
I should have told you because I need.
Do you need extra like pickled things and like I'll bring?
I got pickles, olives. Jim's bringing Bloody Mary mix. I think
sounds like you need some pickled asparagus, probably.
You could do that. I'm gonna have I got some beef sticks that I can get at Sam's Club.
There you go.
Those will be good.
Somebody sent you pickles, right? No, that was the Giardia from Deb.
Oh yeah,
Giardia. Did I say that?
That's the stuff you don't want to get.
No, it's right. I keep calling it that, and I don't know the
Giardia.
Oh, Giardinier.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right, right.
You worked in wastewater for too long.
I did. It's
Giardia. You don't want that.
Don't do that. Bad things happen to good people when you do that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. Oh, what else you got to say? Anything else before we go to the games?
I was going to say these tailgates are the best because you have the walls up and somebody doesn't try pickling avocados.
That's it sounds amazing.
That sounds fantastic. You know what? I think I've heard that from Rev before.
That's a thing?
Because
sure, we're gonna take a big jar because
we pickle pig's feet up here, and you're surprised avocados are pickleable.
I love avocados, and I've never considered, I've never seen or heard of this, and I'm very excited about it now.
Dear internet,
they're like 60 cents a piece plus your pickle juice, bud. Get on it.
Right. Cha. No, what I was going to say, the best part about this tailgate is we have walls up, and then someone won't put out hard alcohol on the end of the table and then yell at me about it when the UPD officer comes up and yells at us.
That was my wife. I thought it was your stuff because ironically you gave it to us.
Chad's like, Brendan, he's pointing at me, pointing at the bottles, and I'm like, yeah. What? Those are
you were
yours.
standing close. The UPD guy was over there. I was just trying to get him down quick. I plead the fifth.
Best part is you guys got away with it for a whole game the week before, which
I don't think
blew my mind because I saw it and I was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get in trouble." But let's see what happens. We got in trouble enough times last weekend that they were like, "Guys, one more, and we're gonna make you start dumping shit out."
Yeah. One of them was my parents. They had a rum chata bottle out for coffee, and the UPD was like, "Hey, you guys got to knock it off." And they were like, "Oh, okay," because we
gotta have like a drawer that like hides under the table somehow that you can like.
They didn't see the. They didn't see the other instances of us getting in trouble, but the UPD was like, "You guys, like, you keep doing it."
Like, Jesus Christ, guys! That's the problem. We have so many people come in and out. Like, next time I gotta explain to them, like, look, if this happens again, like, we're gonna try to stay on top of it, but we got new people coming who will make mistakes. So
exactly,
we'll take care of it. I'm very sorry in advance.
We could just set up the bar in the back of the truck.
We should probably
have tent walls now, so it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it won't matter with the walls.
We should probably start policing our own tailgate.
What?
So they don't have to.
Oh, fun.
No
I don't have a
way.
badge. No
We're
way.
part of the problem, so
Yeah, we are part of the problem.
it's not
I
like it's
know.
everybody else.
But so we can also be part of the solution, guys. All right. Moving on. Let's go over. I don't know, Chad. Do you want to pull up the bracket?
can.
Or
Yeah, I
just
got
look
it
at
up.
the-
I got it up. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be
Give me a
great.
hot second. Okay,
So
go.
to recap the picks, anyway.
Doing okay.
Brendan did pretty good. Best week of the year for him, 7-1, which is really, really good for the first round of the playoffs, where there's matchups so it's hard to really gauge because there's not a lot to go off of. You don't have a lot of common opponents. And so, yeah, it can be tough. So Brendan went 7-1. I unfortunately went 4-4, lost another 3 games on him. I'm pretty much completely screwed at this point.
I got to get a thread needle because this bitch is sewn up.
What? Jeez. What are we gonna do for the punishment? We gotta crowdsource the punishment.
No, you don't.
I got some ideas. It involves holding a sign.
It's
on
gonna
a street
be
corner.
Bad enough the way it is. No, that's not.
Yeah,
it's something with this podcast. Like this,
you can film it for the podcast. I won't film what I make you say on it, but you got to do it down in Dallas.
I'm not losing a fantasy football league where there's a big punishment involved. That's not what's happening.
Potato.
No.
To be fair, it should be only maybe slightly.
You stand for 30 minutes on a street corner with the sign of my design.
That just sounds so stupid, but whatever.
No, I'm gonna make you dress up in the hot dog. You've seen Accepted. Ask me about my wiener.
Ask me about my wiener.
Yes, that'd be the best punishment ever.
No, all right. Anyway,
let's go to the bracket, huh?
Let's move on to the bracket.
Do I have to take you off screen, Brendan?
Gardner Webb.
We're getting nowhere now for sure. So Gardner Webb played Mercer. Mercer won. The Bears are coming to Brookings. Let's reel this back in, guys. This could go to the left real bad. So let's just keep it together.
Professionals.
I think I'm getting texts.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh God. Okay.
Yep. That's what I expected.
So Gardner Webb and Mercer.
Come on, guys. Pull it together.
All right.
Mercer. Let's talk about that one last because that's the game that's the team we're going to preview.
DQ Ness versus Youngstown State.
DeQuesne.
Spider-Man. Oh my God.
Youngstown State. What did you say about Spider-Man?
It's on the bracket.
Spider-Man. Gotcha. Youngstown State whooped Duquesne 40-7. Duquesne failed me. I thought they could stay within 23. They did not. Youngstown State moves on to play Villanova, and that'll be an interesting game. We'll talk about those matchups in a bit. We'll just recap the games here. Richmond beat North Carolina Central pretty handily, like we talked about. Had a big second half. They won 49-27 and covered. Then you had Southern Illinois just trounced Nichols 35-0. Nichols, did you watch any of that game at all? Like, did Nichols just look really, really bad?
I watched none of it because Nichols sucks, and so does the Southland Conference. So that is the one playoff game I was uninterested in from the start.
Yeah.
And when I looked down, it was 14-0 in the first quarter. I went, well, not watching that shit.
Yeah. The next game we got down, if you go down the bracket there, was a really fun game, honestly. Sac State and UND. Not a whole lot of defense was played. Sac State won 42-35. UND just could not get their defense going and do enough to stop Sac State.
The amount of third and longs that Sac State, they were like 7 of 8 on third down, and it wasn't like they were getting in 3rd and 1. Like these were like 3rd and 12s, and they're just like, okay, we get first down now. It had to have been an absolute goddamn nightmare to be a Postal Service fan and watch the other team deliver on 3rd down every time.
I think that first drive they didn't even get to 3rd down, did they? It was just first, second, all the way down the field.
Yeah, not on the first drive, but the second and third drives they had a bunch of
right. No, I was just saying the first drive they were completely efficient.
That Bennett went nuts.
Yeah.
All right, we beat Mount Marty by 22. I feel better now. Okay.
Thank God.
I put that on screen a while ago.
Yeah, Poppin let us know about it a while ago. But after that, we've got NDSU whoop Drake like we thought they would, 66-3, covered easy. Chattanooga with the upset. Chattanooga won 24-21. They, I think, Sac State and Chattanooga were the only upsets and away teams that ended up winning. I didn't have a chance to watch that one. Did you? Chattanooga, Austin P?
I did. Chatty had, I think it was Chatty that had a hell of a play in it where, it was Chatty. The quarterback throws it into the end zone kind of on just a lob up prayer, and it gets picked off by P, and the Chatty player, wide receiver, runs him down, takes the ball back at the 5.
That's right.
And runs it in for a touchdown. Hot damn, was that important, because that's what they won. And then the Chatty kicker, who apparently generally is pretty solid, misses 2 kicks. And one of them, he kicks so low, he almost put it right up his center's ass. And then the second one, he misses wide left. And he came in and kicks the game-winning field goal. And I'm watching this going, this dude's mind is toast. There's no way in hell that he's making this game-winning field goal on the road. And he did it. So, I mean, good for them. They probably should have won 9 by 7 points because of 2 missed field goals. But their kicker, 3rd time's a charm, pulled it off for him. It was a good game.
Yeah. And then we had Delaware pulled it out against Lafayette. For most of that game, it looked like Lafayette was going to win. I think you said Lafayette had a bunch of turnovers in the second half.
Delaware had
a quarterback
in the first half, and that's why
Delaware did really. Gotcha.
And then Laffey lost their starting quarterback. They still scored a little bit, but that was around the same time as the NCCU game. I'm like, oh, these are really good games, but the UND game's getting close to ending, and I want to see the end of that. So I jumped over that, and this is why the NCAA needed to separate these games a little bit, because my TV remote was on fire. I'm not cool enough to have an Apple TV like some people on this podcast, so I couldn't quad screen the goddamn thing. So I missed the end of that, and all of a sudden I switch back, and it is Delaware's come all the way back from the dead, and there's a backup quarterback in, and I'm like, what the hell happened? And Laffey just couldn't get it done.
Yep. And then the last game, the game that will feed into us, is Mercer took down Gardner-Webb 17-7. Mercer covered there. Pretty cool for Mercer. First playoff game, got a win. It looked like it was a decent atmosphere there. They didn't really show the crowd too much. Or I guess I wasn't able to watch a whole lot of it, but it sounded like there was a decent crowd there. So it'll be interesting to see how many of them travel to Brookings. I think we had one person reach out on Twitter. So yeah, hopefully they stop by our tailgate. So yeah.
Gallon, she said she's going to dress up like Ralphie from A Christmas Story. So
really?
I think Ralphie's brother, I think, is who she said.
Oh,
was what I had read.
Maybe misread that.
Maybe it was Ralphie. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Mercer fans, if you're listening, stop on down to the Jackrabbit Book Club. We're on Google, literally, so you can Google Jackrabbit Book Club and
Google Maps.
Bring you right to our tailgate on Google Maps. So, we will have walls and heaters, because unlike some dopes down to the south, and I'm not talking about you guys, Mercer, I'm talking about the dopes that live in Vermontown that shouldn't exist as a university. They don't know what walls are. For the record, guys, if you're tailgating and you don't have 4 walls on your tent and heaters inside in these games, what are you even doing? Like, I see that sometimes. I'm like, man, you guys are you're making yourself cold for no reason. Like,
To
throw
be
the heat
clear,
on
we
the
were
walls.
there at one point, but we were using tarps. So we still had
we
some
still
kind of
closed it all the way in with tarps.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't look pretty, but
I will
was
say
effective.
those zip sides, you can get 4 walls that have zippers, and they're like $100 and some. The best
as long as you don't have
investment.
an easy up. Yeah.
It's even if you have an easy up, you can, as long as you don't have the stupid ones with the angled sides. You got to have the straight up and down legs. But yeah, it's, man, they are worth every penny. And yeah, you put some heaters inside. I do see some people like building a fire, which seems like a lot of work. And even with a fire, like it's windy, it's cold, it really doesn't do much. So yeah, I highly recommend the tents and the walls and the heaters. But now that we talked about the results of the first round, we're going to pick the games on the Scare Money Don't Make Money podcast on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. per protocol. So we won't pick them against the spread today, but we can quickly kind of preview the games. So we'll talk about SDSU Mercer in a little bit. Villanova Youngstown, I'm very interested in this one because I think that Youngstown, you'll go ahead.
I was going to say, should we mention that we're brought to you by, this segment is brought to you by Jackrabbit Central?
We should.
Hopefully you hopped on there for the Black Friday sale. I'm not sure if they're doing a Cyber Monday sale.
They are.
They are. So you've got time. If you're listening to this live, get over to Jackrabbit Central. They've got a Cyber Monday sale. I know it was 30% off on Friday. I don't know what it is today. Probably good. Check it out. They got big and tall section now. Everything your little heart could desire, even tailgating tents. And if you just want a tailgating tent and want walls to stay warm, a blue tarp will do fine. You can use zip ties and zip tie them around and then bring in a Nipco. And I tell you what, it's a lot better than sitting on your tailgate. And yes, we are wussies tailgating with heaters, but on the bright side, we don't lose football stadiums to hurricanes. So, potato. I'll use a little propane. Let's burn some dinosaurs instead. But it's so that's fine. That's it. That's the read. Go to Jackrabbit Central.
Perfect. Yes, do that. But yeah, back to this game. It will be interesting. Number one, because the winner will come to Brookings, assuming we beat Mercer. But number two, I think it's a good matchup. I think we talked a little bit before about how it's not a great matchup for Villanova. Y-Town here says he's making the trip to Villanova, hoping to go 4-0 against them all time in the playoffs. So yeah, Youngstown's had some success in the past. I think I'm trying to remember what the spread was on this one, but I think it was pretty close. Again, we're not picking against the spread, but it was just for information's sake. Villanova's favored by 4 on this one, so very close, tight matchup.
Huh. I like that.
Yeah, the next one down, Richmond going to Albany. That one, Albany is favored by 11.5.
Yeah,
and so we'll see if Albany can take care of business and rep for the dying CAA. And that
they're the last gasp.
And then you got Idaho with Southern Illinois coming to town. Idaho's only favored by 3.5 here. This is going to be a tough matchup for Idaho. We've talked about Southern Illinois' defense, their ability to tackle really well, and they have really good DBs that can shut down the passing game. And so, yeah, this is going to be a test for Idaho for sure.
I think it's interesting that Southern Illinois might have a little bit of intel on what Idaho runs for an offense, seeing as how they're used to playing against Eck.
Yeah, it's possible.
Could make it a little more interesting.
What Nick Baker
completely
showing
unfamiliar. Well, that's true, right?
Right.
I don't think Nick Baker travels well into a dome atmosphere. So I'm thinking Idaho wins. We haven't seen good Nick Baker enough times, and he just had a good game. What happens to Nick Baker after he has a good game? He has a bad game.
Yeah.
The
And
only thing that's consistent with him is him being inconsistent.
the Kibbe Dome will probably be pretty full too, so that definitely won't be terrible.
It will be a tough environment. They do get behind their team there. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. And then you've got another very interesting game, Sac State going to USD. USD is favored by 7.5 in that one. I think Sac State can win this game. I really do. I think they have enough offense to win. USD has a good defense, but I don't know that if Sac State can make it a track meet, I don't know that USD can keep up that way. I really don't. I just haven't seen enough from their offense in the second half of the season, honestly.
Yeah, if Sac State can do that, but
right. I mean, it's a big if.
I haven't seen them do enough against good teams, good defenses, and UND was not a good defense. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do it on the road a second time, traveling halfway across the country 2 weeks in a row to the Dakotas. I don't see him. I have a hard time seeing him do it twice. If you're a Valley Hardo and love be thumping your chest against Big Sky fans about how tough the MVFC is, which I don't understand who gives a shit, win a natty and tell them we're tougher than all of you. Shut up. But if this is an important game, if USD chokes on this one, which I think would be hilarious, but if they do choke on this one, that's a real tough look for the Valley. Your number 2 team that only lost to SDSU and nobody else in conference beat chokes game 1 against Sac State, the weakest Big Sky team in the field. That is a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, I expect USD to win, but I give Sac State a good chance. Honestly, I do.
They're kind of on the upswing.
Yeah. Jim Poppin says he's got Sac State and NDSU winning on the road this week. Dakota Mayhem says he takes Sac State. Not sure how much of those, either of those, are fueled by their hate for USD, but
but I'll allow it.
Yeah, well, I like it.
Picking road teams in the playoffs, the deeper you get, the worse of a game plan it is.
Statistically, even
why my pick for Montana State over Montana was pretty ballsy. Boy, we'll talk about that on Scad Money Don't Make Money.
We shall. Huge game, huge matchup is NDSU going to number 6 Montana State. This one is Montana State's only favored by 1 in this one at home. Wow. Which they're saying essentially NDSU is a better team because you get about 3 points at home. So yeah, this is a monster game. This is a big test for NDSU on the road in the playoffs, which they haven't had. When's the last time they had a true test on the road in the playoffs?
2010.
EWU.
So
2010.
13 years ago.
They still whine about it. It's amazing. There's levels of holding grudges and NDSU fans and complaining about stuff, and NDSU fans take the cake, baby. I tell you what.
Yeah, Dustin says it'd be funny to see NDSU lose for the implosion in Fargo, but it's also hard to bet against them in the playoffs.
It's not hard to bet against them in the playoffs. You just find someone who's taking bets; they'll take your money. It's just that easy. Just hand somebody money,
right? Yeah, I mean, NDSU's been playing well lately, but they've had inferior opponents. They did have a good game against SIU. Can't. It's a playoff team, but this one's on the road against a really, really good team, a team that some people consider is probably in the top 3 in the nation. I mean,
and they got a free warm-up game, right? I mean, Drake was nothing but a tune-up game.
No, for sure.
Well, what do we always say in the playoffs? Defense travels, right? What's NDSU not good at this year?
Stopping the run.
defense. Their defense sucks, and stopping the run, and they're not particularly good against the pass either. And Montana State at home, getting to run the ball. I mean, yeah, they beat up on Southern Illinois because they got a good offense, and Southern Illinois doesn't have an offense. Like, for the record, if you're a Southland fan listening to this, and that's such an indictment against your conference that Southern Illinois put up 35 points on your champion. Like, that's real. There's a reason we call you the Southland and we drop the D, because goddamn, that's tough. But
You might have to call them the Southland because they lost their O too.
Yeah. That's what happens whenever they play a good team in the playoffs. No, I don't know, man. I think on the road, Montana State is going to be able to run the ball on them.
I do too.
Points,
it's a dome team in the elements too.
But boy, give me that Montana State. I mean, what do you favor more? Montana State's rushing attack against NDSU's defense, or NDSU's offense against Montana State's defense, which can be pretty solid?
Yeah, I was just going to check the weather here to see what Bozeman's like on Saturday.
It can't be warmer than.
If anything, I think Montana State can run the same game plan that they tried against us and just keep the ball away from them. And the difference is, I don't think Cam Miller makes those plays, because that's the other thing. How many big games has Cam Miller carried them to the win, or made the big plays to win?
Right.
You know that, and
National
I mean, big games
2 years
right.
ago.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You get, the national championship against us. No, and most of his big games are been against us. He didn't need to in his national championship against Montana State because they just ran all over him. I don't know, man. I'm not nearly as certain as everybody else that NDSU is just going to roll in, say they're NDSU, and play.
Right. No, I agree.
That's the one game he did. Didn't he have like 12 yards that game passing?
Yeah.
Dustin.
No points, no playing.
This is for Nichols.
I put it up for a while. Yeah.
I missed it.
Good.
That's good. Nichols had a problem getting home, and they were angry about it.
Do we want to talk about that? Because I have thoughts.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I can hear the joy in your voice. Nichols got stuck at an airport for 12 hours, which that happens to people. Planes get canceled and mechanical problems, and then you wait at an airport for a long time. And you know what? I know what would happen in that situation if that was a SDSU team. Mr. Justin Sell or Barry Dunn would get on the phone and get them home because they give a shit.
Right.
What does the president of Nichols do? He fires off a bitchy little tweet
to the NCAA.
And here's the deal. I've got a job where I have my responsibility, and sometimes things that aren't my responsibility end up being a problem for people that I'm taking care of, my customers. Guess what I don't do? I don't fire off tweets and pout. I take care of them because that's my job. You're the president of the university and the athletic director. Do your job and then fight the NCAA later for getting paid back. That is the most asinine shit in the world, to complain about the NCAA when all they do is set up the charter. They're not flying damn planes. So that's my quick little note on that. You can clip that and send it to him if you want.
Yeah.
Hopefully President Dunn doesn't listen to this and go, oh, he's an idiot. He's so wrong on this. But that's
I think at worst he'll be like, well, you might be giving me a little extra credit. But nah, he would do that. 100%.
He'd be like,
he's buying free tickets for the students this game.
For the
right?
students, right? He shoveled the stadium. I have no doubt in my mind that they would get them boys home. Like,
exactly.
Let's fire up the old Twitter machine instead. We'll get them home through data. Jesus Christ. What a joke.
Agreed. The next matchup, we've got Furman and Chattanooga coming to town. Furman has something to prove here. They are favored by 4 is all against a Chattanooga team.
Dude, that's a spicy meatball.
Against a Chattanooga team that barely made the playoffs. So yeah, like I said, Furman, and I don't know, is their quarterback healthy back? Has we heard anything on that?
there's
Supposed to be
more than
back.
just that. There's more than just that reported by Sam Herder. So when they played last time, Furman's quarterback got hurt fairly early in that game, and Furman still won. Now, Chatty's quarterback is supposed to be out. Their All-American defensive end, who kind of carries that defense, was in a sling on the sidelines at the last game. And the leading rusher and the quarterback are both back for Furman. Furman is going to beat the dog piss out of Chattanooga.
Is this your lock of the week, Brendan?
Stone cold lock of the century of the week.
As far as the line goes, it still shows 4. So if you can find it, maybe go
Hit it hard, hit it early.
Right. That's my opinion.
Like-
I don't know.
Zach
know.
McKinnell says too. Put all your money on Furman. Huff and Roberto
Boom.
are both healthy.
With Zach on my hot side, I can't lose. I'm untouchable, baby. Let's go.
I did love your tweet to him about Lafayette before. It was way too early. You're like,
So
hey,
early.
what the hell, man?
You're screwing me, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was like, oh man, it looked grim for the first
did.
minute or so, and I have to make judgments and open my mouth, apparently. Like an idiot.
That'll happen. And then on the bottom of the bracket, we got Delaware going to Montana. Montana is favored by 13 in that one. That's the second biggest spread of the week. Don't anticipate Montana having too much trouble with Delaware. Expect them to take a business there. All right. And then we've got the big game of the week, SDSU with Mercer coming to town. And this spread is huge. It's SDSU favored by 32.5. That's a lot of points. That's a bit disrespectful to Mercer.
Man.
It's so much. It's like were we even? I'm trying to remember what the spread was against Western Illinois. Oh no, we didn't get to play Western Illinois.
You mean Western Oregon?
No, I meant Western Illinois, but I forgot that we didn't even play them because they were. I mean, their spreads were 27 to 30 points all year. So the point I was getting at is essentially they're saying Mercer is like just as bad as Western Illinois, and Western Illinois was really, really bad and didn't win a game this year. But yeah, it's that's a lot of points. I did watch some of the Mercer Gardner Webb game, and it's going to be tough for them. And we always talk about how important line play is, and their defensive line is no match for our offensive line. Their offensive line is no match for our defensive line. That's the start of it, and that's honestly it's where it's because of the line play. I just don't see them having a chance. Gardner Webb was living in Mercer's backfield all day. And it's going to be a problem for their quarterback. And Mercer's got a good quarterback, PV. I like some of the stuff he did. He's got some legs. He can move pretty well. If he gets time
in the 4 quarters.
If he gets time in the pocket, he can deliver a throw. But man, yeah, it's going to be tough for them. That's for sure.
I was just watching when I was watching that game. It's like, man, both of these offenses are going to have a tough time. Just watching that Gardner Webb Mercer game was like, that was not an offensive showcase. And that's not to talk down to their talent. Mercer has a lot of talent, especially at wide receiver. Friend of the pod, Blue Bloods, told us, that when he was on last week, and he said that line's so disrespectful to Mercer. To put it in perspective, that is only 3.5 points less than what NDSU was favored over Drake by.
Yeah, true.
That's tough. But it feels like to me, this team's going to hit a playoff gear, which was the old line from NDSU fans. It made you want to puke. and all that stuff. But it does make sense when you've got a team that's as favored as often all the time, all season, like this SDSU team. And, you've got the coaches keeping you focused. You're trying to force yourself to be focused. You can get yourself to be focused, but you won't be nearly as focused when it's really crunch time and you are just naturally focused because of the environment. And I think the playoffs are going to bring that out in the whole team, and they're going to be hyper locked in. I mean, they better be. I'm assuming they are hyper locked in on this game. And we've seen this team get better and better and better as the season goes along. And now I think they're going to hit, I mean, like we said, playoff Zay. Well, why do you think playoff Zay is so damn good? Because it's the playoffs. It means more. SEC, your shit does not mean more. You play in bowl games. Playoffs mean more. This shit means more, and you can see it. And the way he runs, and he's just won't be denied. And I think the whole team's going to have that attitude, especially with the seniors that came back just to do this.
Exactly.
I mean the regular season was NFL draft stock time, but this is the real goal.
Yeah, I mean this is why they came back, is for this playoff run, to get back to Frisco, to win, to go back to back. And so yeah, I mean we've seen like the Southern Illinois game. I don't think that was a complete game. We let them hang around too long. And even this last game, I don't know that was a complete game, but it was kind of the point where it's like, they knew that they didn't really have to turn it on. It seemed like, but I just don't see them doing that in the playoffs. They're going to take care of business. They're not going to leave anything to chance, and it's going to be fun to watch. So again, buy tickets, be there in person to watch it. You mentioned their Mercer's weapons at wide receiver. One area I think they could have some success in is the quick pass. They had some success against Gardner-Webb with that, and PV can deliver the ball well enough, and they have good wide receivers that can make some plays. Granted, our defense is very good at playing bend, don't break, so I think we do see them have some success with the quick pass game, as we have seen other teams do. But it's going to be tough sledding once they get down to the red zone, if they get to the red zone. But that's, if any success, in my opinion, that's where it's going to be. I think that our running backs are just going to run wild on their defense. I wasn't real impressed with their tackling. I wasn't impressed again with their D-line, like I said. And then our wide receivers, if we want to throw the ball, they will get deep on these guys, and it's not going to be pretty. They were struggling with Gardner-Webb's receivers and quarterback, and I think once you get Yankees and Wilde out there running deep balls on these guys, it's going to be a long day. So that's, all these reasons are why this spread is so big, really.
Right. And like, we're not saying this to be like disrespectful or
not at all
to the Bears or anything. It's just, we've been there. We've been the 7-4, at large team that gets sent up against the powerhouse and stuff, and been the scrappy underdog Montana. We came out and gave them everything their first playoff appearance, and we won't talk about the rest, but we've been there. You should have every belief that your team's going to win this game, because why wouldn't you? That's the point of being a fan. We don't say this stuff to be disrespectful, but like, it's just this team's just at another level. It is a all-time quality team if they can pull it off. Rev says, be disrespectful, let the hate flow within you. Unlike some people, our goal isn't to end up on hype videos, Rev. It's man, they like you said, and what Dallas said, it's going to be the quick outside game, but the problem is they're going to have to bust the big play, and this defense is incredibly good at not allowing the big play.
Yeah, 100%. Zach says that his comment was to the Western Illinois comparison, and I guess that was a bit disrespectful. But I was more talking about like It's more the spread aspect, and if you look at like things like this spread are based on, like Sagarin and things like that. Um, Mercer's at that level of as far as like a power ranking in the FCS, and so that is just the reality of it. But yeah, I mean, I do hope that we get to see a lot of second string. Like there's just no reason to. In my opinion, I know it was senior day, but in my opinion, our last regular season game, we saw guys out there way too long. I do not want to see that in the playoffs, and I don't think we'll need it. So, yeah, I see us winning this game pretty handily. But if you want our actual picks against the spread, tune in on Wednesday night for Scare Money, Don't Make Money. This part of the podcast, however, is brought to you by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Thank you, Culver's. As Matt mentioned last night, the timing of the game works out well for supper. Afterward, you can hit Culver's on your way out of town, grab Curter Burger, grab some onion rings, grab a root beer, and grab a some custard on the way out. Thank you to Culver's of Brookings Watertown.
And if you want to, we love burgling curds here.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually burgle curds on your friend's phone. They have an app, so you can burgle ahead of time, which is pretty sweet.
Culver's does?
Yes, I looked
Did
it up.
not know
I
that.
looked it up now. Mobile app. Customize your Culver's experience. Download on the App Store or Google Play if you have phones that you think need to launch a space shuttle that you don't use all the capacity of. That's a jab at somebody in shouting distance here. Yeah, we can't hear him. See, if he didn't have an Android, we'd probably be able to hear what he's saying.
Sorry, I'm sick and I've been blowing my nose and shutting the mic off. I just said, green bubbles and green shirts.
Yeah, you could at least have the decency not to blow while we're filming.
I'm off screen most of the
You
time.
have been taking yourself off screen.
All
That's
right.
true.
We appreciate that.
We'd have to make it an X-rated show if you did that.
No, Rev, supper and dinner are not the same thing.
No, definitely not.
It's supper. Supper is the evening meal.
Yeah.
Dinner's an in-between.
Yep. Dinner is around lunchtime.
Yeah.
In between.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Anyway, do we have anything else to talk about? Yes, Jesse, 50 Butterburger is in play here. We should talk about how another spot to burgle curds is Cubby's in Cubby Sports Bar and Grill.
Yes.
I know that they have good cheese curds. I know that they have good sweet potato fries and waffle fries, and they have amazing nachos. So go check out Cubby's. Not Saturday during the game. Other times you can check out Cubby's, but during the game you should be at the Dana. But before and after, check out Cubby's. If you don't feel like setting up a tailgate spot, Cubby's would be an amazing spot to go hang out before the game and then head to the Dana for the game.
So how much trouble do you think I'd get in if I gave a homeless guy my ticket and let him in the game and then walked around Cubby's with a baseball bat smacking people who didn't go to the game and sat in Cubby's instead?
They probably wouldn't do that.
A foam one. I'm not kidding. Oh yeah, Ariel's pretty pissed. The Curter Burger is no longer available. She never got one.
Oh no.
Well, that's my fault.
Brookings Watertown.
It'll be back.
No, it'll be back. It will be back.
But yes, Rev, you do take your wife to an anniversary supper.
Of course. What else would you take her to? Lunch?
And what were we talking about that Cubby's needs to bring back, Ben?
The Italian nachos.
Italian nachos.
Please, 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 Italian nachos.
Why are they gone? The greatest food ever.
With the wonton chips. The Thai nachos are good. However, the Italian nachos, please, Cubby's, please bring them back. We're going to clip this and send it to them.
Yeah.
So
if
any of our listeners also like Italian nachos, go reply to our tweet where we clip this
Yeah.
and beg Cubbies to
Bombard
bring them
Cubbies.
back
Beg them.
because we need them back.
Please, sweet baby Jesus, bring
They
back
could make it
the
special, like the
delicious
McBread, and
Italian
bring it back
nachos.
every year for a little while.
The Italian nachos sounds redneck. Is that
Oh,
what he's
no.
saying,
Old
or is he
Chicago
talking about
used to do
supper?
Italian nachos too.
Oh, dude, they're so good, Rev. You have no idea.
They're fantastic.
Oh,
They're unreal.
oh.
Yeah, I don't understand why they took them off. I don't know.
But the
Anyway.
only negative side effect of them is you end up getting the urge to wear a wife beater and yell out your window for someone to shut up.
And
If
talk with your hands.
if you've watched enough Family Guy and talk with your hands, it's
Yeah.
it's an Italian thing.
That'll
It
happen.
doesn't happen a lot in Del Rapids, I know, but
Probably not. Anyway,
but it
there you
would
go.
happen more often if Cubbies had Italian nachos.
Agreed. Rev says Italian nachos are amazing. He agrees.
Attaboy.
All right, Fireball Santa will be back. Pudding Shot Santa will be back. And outside of
maybe
that,
with a little extra umchata, we'll see. We'll see.
yeah. What do you want me to? I'm just buy it and Venmo request me.
It's fine. I just go through.
Pick
it
a number. Pick a number.
Yeah, I will. I'll pay for the rum chata.
Oh,
I was just giving you a hard time about it because I mean, it adds up. Three-quarters of a cup of rum shot is about a third of a 750, and I go
Chad,
through a case in the regular season. So
if I get you an SDSU blue Santa suit,
I'd wear it.
Would you wear it giving out pudding? Okay.
Why wouldn't I?
Exciting. I'm just making sure before I spend $30.
Don't we? It's only $30.
Will it fit my fat ass for $30? That's like a bolt and a half. Yeah, I need a 3X.
Hey, is it on our on the website?
Or maybe buy two of them and like
ask
put them together.
Dallas.
I was gonna say, is it on the website of one of our podcasts?
Do you have a blue? Why doesn't his website sponsor us? What the hell?
True. Yeah, we're not even gonna mention it. No free ads, Dallas.
No,
we haven't mentioned.
Nobody gets free rides.
All right.
Cash,
anyway,
grass or ass. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that here.
Yeah, like Jim says, donate to Alex's lemonade stand when you have a pudding shot. All right, I think that's it for today. Zach wants SDSU versus Idaho in the semis, so you can come back to Brookings this year. Well,
I don't think that's going to be a tough one to manage.
I'm excited for that. Hopefully that happens. Love to see you back in Brookings.
You'd be shocked at some of the results that pop up on Amazon when you search a blue Santa suit. You get some things that you weren't expecting just right in your face. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't be the first time today.
Go ahead and share your screen there, Brendan.
No, let's not.
All right.
No,
anyway,
don't. No, that would. Your boys are still watching, right?
If Zach comes in the semis, we might need to outfit him with some winter gear. But we'll take care of you, buddy.
We'll hook him up with some gear. I've got enough to turn him into a little walking tent.
Perfect. All right. As Jim says, dress warm, bring a friend, and see you all on Saturday. And most importantly, go big, go blue,
go Jacks.